So,
it's a great pleasure to connect with you all in this pleasant morning. Now I request Dr. R. Balamurali, Head Industries Relations, to say some few words about the session.
a very good morning to all. It's my pleasure to welcome our guest, Mr. Bharat and Ms. Meenakshi, for this day. And thanks for accepting for the session. My dear students, you all enjoying your days in your home, maybe or may not be, and you people are missing the personal touch feel because of this lockdown period and the college is not opening. But I appreciate you people that you are utilizing this lockdown period in an effective manner by undergoing many kind of online sessions and the webinars organized by college and the webinars organized by some public programs. So I appreciate you all for the involvement and participation. So today we have eminent personalities. I think many of them will know Miss Meenakshi. She was been many times to CIT and a dynamic person, on her work and very passionate about her profile. And we have Mr. Bharat, who is an expert in blockchain. And so, without taking much time, thank you all for being here, and let's hope this session is going to be a good, informative to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bala. Thanks, Bala.
Thank you, sir. It's great honor to have Ms. Meenakshi ma'am. Ms. Meenakshi is a Vice President, Delivery and Operation, EMURGO India. It's a dynamic person with almost 20 plus years of experience in delivery, execution and operation. We request you to share some few words, ma'am.
Good morning to all of you. First thing, I would like to congratulate the entire team of CIT for having won the Pega Hackathon, which is conducted recently. We are very happy for it. Always, as usual, I think CIT team is in action now. This is one of the colleges or universities we have seen progressing so well in every avenue of what industry looks out for. So first, my appreciation to the entire team, the students, obviously the organization and Pegasystems and Talent Sport. Right. So with that note, I start. Basically, as much I introduced, we were a part of the Pegasystems University Academic Program. I always cherished that Chennai Institute of Technology should be forward going in any of the emerging technologies, right? So when I took up the assignment with EMURGO India, which is basically specializing or wholesome in terms of blockchain consulting, which is going to be the disruptive emerging technologies, I felt definitely this should also come to the campus where the college, the management, the academicians and the students get to have the benefit of understanding what is blockchain all about, right? So that was the entire intent of the entire workshop, right? So we had an initial discussion with chairman. As usual, a person who comes with an entire support when there is something valuable to the college and the stakeholders, right? So thanks a lot for the opportunity as usual given. Hopeful that we should be able to launch the Blockchain Center of Excellence inside, inside the Chennai Institute of Technology, like we have done for some of the Tier 1 universities in India, right? Welcome to all the participants. Thanks for having made it in the morning. Definitely as students sitting at home, learning online is never a great intent because we miss our friends, our campus, our college, right? But then we have made it. Thank you very much for being a part of it. Hope you all have a great session today, right? Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, Isha.
Thank you, ma'am. We take immense pleasure in welcoming our chief guest, Bharat Mallapur. Bharat Mallapur, Vice President Tech EMURGO Academy. Bharat is a computer engineer with 16 plus years of software experience and expert in blockchain. He has been part of leading product development companies such as Analog Devices, MediaTek, and Sony, and has experience in building development teams from scratch. He was co-founder of the startup in IoT space with blockchain as an underlying trust audit layer. He has been a blockchain consultant, helping companies deliver blockchain MVPs to the clients. He is also passionate about sharing his knowledge in the blockchain space by organizing meetups and Hyperledger and Ethereum. Bharat is an alumnus of Institutions of Engineering. We are privileged to hear your words, sir. Over to you.
Thanks for the intro. So yeah, I mean, it's been a wonderful journey for me, right from starting out as a core developer in C, C++, and then C#.NET, and then moving on to blockchain. And I see that there is an enormous career scope for all the people who are thinking about getting into blockchain. And so in today's session, what we'll be doing is we'll be looking at what is blockchain to some extent, and then what is the kind of job market out there, what are the kind of opportunities that you can get in this, right? Along with what EMURGO has to offer you as an offering to your college, to all of you learners, right? So we'll start off. I'll just share my screen. So is the screen visible to all of you?
Yes,
Yes,
it's
sir.
perfect.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay, great. So let's start off. So before we kick off the session, right? It makes sense for you to understand what and who is EMURGO, right? So EMURGO India is headquartered at Singapore. It has presence in Japan, Indonesia, US, Hong Kong, right? But we have got students from all over the world, whether it be France, Italy, Germany, Singapore, the US. Okay? We have students from all over the world who join our batches, our online batches, and they get trained in, upskilled in blockchain, so that they can move on to much more promising careers in blockchain development. So of course, we are also, not only are we big train working professionals who are having maybe 6 to 15 years of experience, right? It depends. I mean, there's a broad category of working professionals. 6 to 15-year working experience computer developers, they join our programs to upskill themselves in blockchain. And similarly, we have got an offering for colleges and universities, right? And we are very happy that in the last 1.5 years, right, we have trained in some of the premier organizations in the university space, including PSG and Coimbatore Institute of Technology, Sri Krishna College, Alvas, Reva. Those of you are familiar with uh, Bangalore, for example, you would know some of these things. And obviously, you would know PSG and Coimbatore Institute of Technology, pretty right. So overall, if you see, what are we? Right. So I'll just try to explain a little bit about who is EMURGO first, right? So EMURGO is the official venture arm. Let me just turn on my highlighter. So we are the business arm of Cardano, and Cardano is a third generation blockchain. It is considered as one of the top third generation blockchains in the world, right? Very promising blockchain protocol. Immense support in the blockchain domain. We have a very good global branding. So what do? We are into blockchain protocol development, which means we are actually developing the underlying blockchain protocols. Not only this, we are also consulting with governments in explaining to them how blockchain can help improve the services that they give to their citizens. For example, if you see here, we are the founding member of Blockchain for Europe Association, and blockchain. So basically, what we do here is, we as a lobby, blockchain lobby, we go and we sort of help the European members of Parliament understand what is blockchain, how it is different from, say, something like cryptocurrency, and how blockchains, if they are adopted in the government services, it can streamline the services, bring in a lot of profit, cut down costs, bring in verifiability, all that kind of stuff, audit trail, etc. And we have been very successful in doing this. There are many governments which are having a very positive image towards blockchain in the last, say, 2 to 3 years. Similarly, in the US also, we go and talk to the senators and we help them understand about blockchain, right? We are a global player in the e-governance process in blockchain. Similarly, we are also interacting with the large enterprises, right? Most large enterprises today are extremely interested about blockchain, and we help them understand, how they can adopt blockchain into their existing services, to bring in enormous, so blockchain is a very disruptive technology. So what will be the advantages to them if they adopt blockchain? And also what will be the disadvantage to them if they ignore blockchain for say the next 6 months or 1 year, right? This is very important for them to know so that they can plan their business processes accordingly, right? So as I said, we are into R&D, which means we are actually developing the core blockchain protocols themselves for Cardano. We are into consulting with enterprises. We are into advisory services with governments all over the world, including the European Union as well as the US. And in India, we also have an academy, right? So all the learning that happens from EMURGO is through the EMURGO India, right? EMURGO India Academy. Of course, we are also into product development at EMURGO India, but the academy teaches people from all over the world, right? Who are interested in upskilling to blockchain. The last thing I would like to point out here is that we have something like a venture capital or an accelerator program in tie-up with SOSV, which is a very well-known name in the US accelerator program space. The SOSV is overall a $200 million capital accelerator. And in tie-up with SOSV, we have a $20 million accelerator program. And this is basically for those people who are having interesting ideas for blockchain-based startups. And so if they have a good business proposal as well, we help them get from their idea to delivery stage, right? We mentor them, we fund them, etc. And this opportunity is also available to any of our learners, right? If they have a great idea, they learn blockchain with us, and then they say, we have got a great idea. This is the kind of business plan that we are going to build. So we can help them, if it is reviewed by the global team, and if they like it, then you can actually even apply for an accelerator funding, right? With your interesting idea on blockchain systems. So if you see what are the college alliances that we have in Karnataka, we are tied up with RV College of Engineering, where we have delivered one batch. Internships are going to happen soon. Christ University, Reva University, and Alvas Institute of Engineering and Technology. In Tamil Nadu, of course, we have got PSG, Coimbatore Institute of Technology, Sri Krishna, Shastra, and Karunya tied up with us. We have delivered programs there. In Maharashtra, it's AISSMS Pune. And in Andhra, it is VR Siddhartha College. Right? Just a second. So we have, hope all of you understood that this is a very serious program meant for upskilling today's young talent, so that by the time they graduate from college, right, they are absolutely upskilled on blockchain as a technology. They are very comfortable developing practical solutions with this, and this can come through in the interviews, right? See, when you go for an interview, it's very important to show that you've done some actionable things, right? You actually worked on, some real proper scaled projects. So this education, as well as the internships that we offer for the top people, the top performers in the batch, this can be something which can be a golden opportunity for you to upskill and to become very, very relevant to the industry by the time you graduate. So that out of the way, now let's try to understand a little bit about blockchain. We start off with the history of blockchain. So the history of blockchain starts off somewhere in 1991, where there was something called Hashcash, right? And this Hashcash was a cryptographically secured chain of blocks. It was described by Stuart Haber, right? And basically, it was to sort of create something called proof of work, which is something which powers the Bitcoin system today. So it started way back in 1991, but it was related to mitigating spam mail. It was only in 2008 that a person called Satoshi Nakamoto, right? Satoshi Nakamoto, he published a white paper titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. This was in the late 2008. And when this white paper was published, it created a wave in the computer technologies specialist area. Right? People were amazed that something has been proposed as revolutionary as this, where there is a cash system which is completely decentralized. It is not controlled by any government, and the cash is actually created. The money and the value is created by the network itself, by the people themselves. Right? For example, you will have seen that RBI in India issues the cash, but this was talking about a completely decentralized system where the people themselves create the value. Right? So this was a very, very revolutionary idea. It was quickly adopted, and by 2014 it was zooming around. Right? Um, and then around 2014 is when people realized that Bitcoin was amazing. It was an amazing technology. You could do cross-border payments. So you could pay someone in South America or in Africa or in Europe within like 10 minutes. You could send even millions of dollars of funding within 10 minutes, right? Without any significant transaction fees. Typically, banks will take a week to 2 3 months if the funding is very large, and the transaction fees are enormous. But Bitcoin was enabling a payment system, a global payment system in such a simple manner. Anybody could be part of this. So it was a very revolutionary idea. And in 2014, people started looking under Bitcoin and they started seeing that, oh, there's a powerful engine that's powering Bitcoin. And then some people started looking at, can we take out this engine and make it useful for so many other things? Because Bitcoin was just a payment system, right? There's nothing else it could do. So they actually, it was an open source project, Bitcoin. So basically what happened is that, the open source, the blockchain engine was pulled out, and since then it has been creating a disruptive wave in the technology industry, right? Not just in the technology industry, but in almost every domain, it is going to have an impact, right? So this also coincided with the flooding of thousands of cryptocurrencies, not hundreds, but actually thousands of cryptocurrencies are prevalent today, right? Out of which only a few, probably the top 10 are promising projects, out of which Cardano is probably one of the top blockchain projects as well as cryptocurrency. So in 2015 is where two things were born. Right? One was Ethereum, which is a smart contract based blockchain platform. Some of you might have heard of it, Ethereum. And this is where the next generation, the second generation, Ethereum is considered as the second generation blockchain. Bitcoin is the first generation and Ethereum is the second generation. This became publicly available. People started programming on it. And similarly, in 2015, the Linux Foundation announced the creation of the Hyperledger project. Now, Hyperledger is a blockchain which is meant for businesses. It's meant for enterprises. It has a lot of privacy features which help businesses protect and hide their business data from visibility. Okay? And 2018 onwards has been like, where blockchain finally became a stable technology. It was a very promising technology, but 2018 onwards, it has become more and more stable. And today, if you see the Deloitte 2020 report, which had just come out, maybe not even a month ago. So the Deloitte 2020 report talks about already 45% of businesses in the world that they studied, right? Compared to last year, there was only some 13 or 18% of adoption of blockchain. This year, there has been up to 45% adoption of blockchain into large industries, Fortune 500 companies, you can say. So this tells you that within a year, what is the kind of growth that has happened in the blockchain industry. And this is where we see that there is a huge demand for a very, very skilled developer talent pool, right? Whether it be freshers or whether it be, even very, very working professionals, kind of experienced people who might be working as project managers, etc. But then, freshers are going to definitely be working in blockchain going forward. Just like, today AI ML is the heyday, right? It started off maybe 7-8 years ago. And then today is like, AI ML is very much mainstream, very much mainstream. Today, blockchain is an early technology. There's a lot of space to grow in this technology. And so that's why we hope that colleges and students will, look at this interesting technology, get into it, and help us build a wonderful talent pool from which, a lot of jobs can be created for the Indian subcontinent. Yeah, that's all fine. So what is a blockchain? So if you see, a blockchain is a growing list of data records called blocks, and these are linked using cryptography to enforce immutability. Now, um, you can think of a blockchain as a linked list, if you prefer, a reverse linked list as it is called. For those of you who have studied data structures, it is a reverse linked list, but the only difference being that a reverse linked list has, mapping of addresses. Here it's a cryptographic hash that links one block to the next block, right? So any block is linked to the previous block by the cryptographic hash of the previous block. So it doesn't mean that it's meant for traversal, but it's meant for a sort of a security. You're building a chain of blocks, and you can't modify any one of these blocks without modifying the rest of the blocks. So what do we mean by immutability? Immutability means once some data enters the blockchain, right, it becomes extremely difficult to modify this data, to tamper with this data, right? And even if there are, it doesn't mean that you can't change data. Sometimes you can provide the features to change the data, but whatever the change is there, that also is recorded as immutably in the rest of the data, which means any tampering effort is obviously going to get recorded into the blockchain. And that means that there is full traceability, auditability, and a lot of trust in the data. For example, I mean, why does this create trust? Let's take a look. Suppose, let's say your college exam results came out, and you know that you got say 90% or 85% or whatever, right? 95%, whatever. Now, next when you check the data, maybe after 6 months, you find that from 85% your data is now showing as 80%, right? Then immediately it will be a shock to you. How is it possible that my percentages could have been modified with this? Right? So if you had data which is changing all the time, you would never be able to trust this data. Oh God, I don't know what my score is going to finally show in the records. By the time I graduate, will I actually have the 85% that I earned, or is it going to be some totally different figure? So when does trust come into the data? Trust comes into the data when the data is immutable. Once it is entered, right? Once it is entered into the blockchain, if it never changes, then that gives you a very strong trust in the data. Now, how is a blockchain different from a database? Might be one of the questions that you get, right? For those of you who have heard a little bit about blockchain. A database always is having an administrator, right? Who sort of administers the entire database, and he has superpowers on the database. So he can drop a table, he can recreate the data, whatever he wants, right? So in the case of a blockchain, this kind of person is not there. It's something that is just out there. And once data is entered into the blockchain, nobody in the world can change this data, which means that if trustworthy data is inserted into the blockchain, and this is validated by all the nodes of a blockchain, by the entire network, once data enters the blockchain, nobody in the whole world can change that data. And this creates a very strong trust on the data that has been put into blockchains, right? So how is this accomplished? You have a data structure which chains together blocks of data, right? Each block holds the crypto fingerprint of the previous block. So let's say if I have to talk about a bank system, let's say every few seconds or every few minutes, let's say a new batch of records, a new batch of transactions is inserted into the bank ledger. Now, here what happens is if you implement it as a blockchain, each and every block in the chain is linked together in such a way that it is impossible to break this chain of data. So this is how an accounting ledger used to look like, way back when actually registers were used. I remember a time in my childhood when I used to go with my parents to the bank, and they used to have this kind of ledgers in which they used to write the credit and debit, transaction details. But today, of course, it's all computerized. But don't forget, it's all controlled in a centralized server with a database, and databases are prone to hacking. A hacker can wipe a database, change data in the database very easily. But compare this with a blockchain where this is impossible. In fact, if you think about it, Bitcoin is the longest living blockchain in the world, right? From 2009, January 3rd till today, it has been working non-stop. And till today, there has never been a successful hacking attempt on the main blockchain protocol of Bitcoin, on the mainnet, right? So this can tell you what kind of security a blockchain can bring. For example, there are many teenage hackers, maybe equal in age to any of you, right? And these teenage hackers, out of which Kevin Mitnick is one of the famous, hackers who actually hacked the Pentagon. And this is not something very challenging for a hacker, right, to hack into a Pentagon system. Just imagine that, in spite of having maybe hundreds of thousands of hackers all around the world, right? Nobody has managed to hack the Bitcoin blockchain till today, right? So this can tell you what is the enormous security. It is not a military strength security. It is next world security, right? It's next level security. Just imagine, no hacker has managed to hack the blockchain system till today. The Bitcoin mainnet blockchain protocol till today, right? So this can tell you how much security comes in. And just imagine, today, banks, enterprises, so many different organizations are trying to build their platforms in a secure manner, right? You have heard of WhatsApp getting hacked, AWS, the Amazon Web Services Cloud, getting hacked. Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, right? His phone got hacked, and God knows how many piggyback jumps has been done from his phone to the Amazon store or Amazon Web Services and so many other portals, right? So hackers today are having a free run on most centralized systems like cloud, etc. Though, I mean, security measures are very high, hackers are very ingenious. They always find a way to get in, right? It's the most hackers are typically teenagers or very young people, maybe below 25, right? And so they've got a very flexible mind, and they're very curious, and so they always find ways to get into these centralized systems. But just imagine, this has never happened on the Bitcoin protocol. So this can tell you this is really strong security. And so today, banks, so many Fortune 500 companies are trying to build applications on top of the blockchain. And when they do this, they are basically getting the ready-made security of the blockchain. So almost every industry out there is looking to implement blockchain. And that's where the real software development jobs of tomorrow are going to come from. So what are the advantages of blockchain? Right? Why blockchain? So we just talked about this. It is immutable. No person in the world can change the data in a blockchain once it has been entered into the blockchain. Now, there is something called smart contracts. Smart contracts is something that is you can think of it as intelligent programs running on top of a blockchain, where when a particular condition happens, automatically some action with a payable money or whatever happens. You can think of it as programmable money. Right? Let me give an analogy here. If you take out your wallet or your purse, right, depending on whether you're a guy or a lady, right? If you open your wallet, you've got cash, right? And this is dumb cash. It doesn't know who its owner is. If somebody picks your wallet, it will never complain, right? Even say your debit card or your bank card or your bank account, if someone manages to hack it and get it to that, remove your funds, money will never complain. But with smart contracts, what you're doing is you're actually creating intelligent money that knows who its current owner is, and you can write a program for this intelligent money where when some certain condition happens, automatically it understands, oh, I have to be somewhere else, I have to go there. And this is the one of the wonderful things that today has happened because of smart contracts, is you have created intelligent money which knows who it belongs to, right? And this is a very powerful construct. You see, right? I mean, intelligent machines are going to get us some. Intelligent students are definitely going to get us to the next level, right? Intelligent money means that you have solved many of the problems which are a lot of friction in each and every solution. Oh, yeah, I have to transfer the rent. Oh, I have to pay the fees. Oh, I have to get my salary. I have still not got my salary. It's 3 days overdue and I've still not got my salary or my stipend, whatever. Right? So now what happens is when you've got programmable money, you program it once and it just works. Everything just smoothly flows as it should. So this is the real beauty of blockchain is it is going to create very, very smooth, coordinated systems all around. It is very secure, as I talked about it, very transparent and traceable. Every transaction that happens on the blockchain is traceable, auditable, which means you can check, is there any malpractice that's happened in any of the places? You can track each and every transaction back to the original source. So this brings an enormous trust into financial systems, which is what banks are trying to do all the time. Right? So here, if you see, today's systems sort of look like this. There is a central server, let's say Facebook.com or Google.com. You have got a server, and then all of us connect to this as clients. Right? This is called as a client server architecture. It has served us really, really well for the last 25, 30 years at least, right? Easily. But today there's a problem with this architecture. Right? Now, just imagine there's a hacker. Let me just start off mine. Can I annotate on this? No, probably not. So this is not Zoom. So let's say there's a hacker and he wants to, get all the banking data. Or let's say Facebook. We'll take the example of Facebook here, right? When you say that Facebook has around 2 billion subscribers today, all from all over the world, right? Your photos, your comments, your likes, your chats, everything is accessible in the Facebook server. 2 billion people's data on a blockchain, on a Facebook central server, right? Now this is an enormous attraction for hackers, and so it's so easy for them, right? There's one server. I mean, obviously Facebook has multiple servers all around the world, but there's one master server which holds all the data together, right? So you just hack one server and you get access to 2 billion people's identity, each and every detail about you. Where today there are so many people who will tell you, I am at the airport, I am at the hotel, I am at this event, I am at that event, right? It's become a sort of necessity even to share your live update on each and every aspect of your life. Just imagine what a hacker could do with 2 billion people's data. And this is because this data is nicely kept in one centralized server, and no matter how much you protect this, a hacker can always find a way to get in. Right? It's a honeypot for him. It's a honeypot of data for him. Compare this to, let's say, how a blockchain could implement things. Right? In a blockchain, it's a completely decentralized network, which means there is no central server where data is stored. Each client stores its own data, right? So if you imagine a Facebook built in a decentralized network architecture, right? There would be 2 billion people. Obviously, you're using your phone all the time to connect to Facebook. Suppose the data of your entire personal account could be in somewhere, either in a personal cloud or even in the mobile phone, right? And you are only sharing the access to this to others, right? What would happen is that now, instead of one centralized server like this, where your entire private data is available, it's now spread all over the place. 2 billion nodes spread over 2 billion nodes. Now, if a hacker wants 2 billion people's data, he has to actually hack 2 billion nodes, 2 billion computers, or 2 billion phones, or whatever, right? Which is an enormous task. So you can imagine the kind of privacy and the kind of security that you get from this decentralized network. I hope this is clear to all of you. So this is where actually today's concern about cyber security, these are going to be addressed by blockchains, right? That's one aspect of it, security. So this is a slide where you actually show how Bitcoin or any of these blockchains can become decentralized banks. So you just want A wants to send money to B, and he makes a transaction saying A from A to B, let's say to Bitcoin, or let's say $2,000, right? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Now he submits this to the blockchain network, and this blockchain network takes this transaction, validates it, puts it into a block, and then this block is completely broadcast to the internet. Hey, there's new transactions, please update yourself, right? And so all the nodes in the blockchain network, they update their ledger. Each of them has a ledger because it's a decentralized ledger. Every node in the network will have a copy of the exact ledger as maintained by everybody, just the exact same as everybody else. Whenever any new transactions happen, everybody updates themselves. Now just imagine trying to hack such a network. Even if you manage to, let's say, destroy 1,000 nodes in this, the other 40,000 nodes or 50,000 nodes will still have the data very, very safe in a very, very decentralized, right? So the block is broadcast to every party in the network, and then it again gets validated by every node in the network, and then the block is added to something called a blockchain. And once that block enters the blockchain, it is immutable. If you have sent money to somebody, that's it. It's done deal, sealed, right? And then so the money moves from A to B. This is just if you look at a pure and simple plain payment that is happening on the blockchain. But then blockchains have evolved to the next level where smart contracts come, and this brings an enormous amount of intelligence. So okay, great. We got a little bit of idea about what a blockchain is. What is a blockchain? It's decentralized. That's the first advantage of blockchain is it's decentralized, which means that it's a lot more secure. If, for example, you will have heard of data safety, right? If you want to keep your precious photos, your childhood photos, family photos, whatever, precious, what do? You keep multiple copies of them. You'll print them out. You'll have one album. You'll keep it in one hard disk. You'll keep it on the net in maybe Google Drive or whatever. Any of these gets destroyed, the rest of the data store backups can be your safety. Similarly, blockchains, because they're decentralized, they store the data multiple copies, thousands of copies. So the safety is extreme. No hacker can change data or tamper data or wipe out data. So then, okay, it's very secure, it's intelligent, it's going to create the next generation systems. What's happening today? So all of you would have heard of Starbucks, right? Starbucks is one of the premier coffee global brands in coffee. It's a coffee store. And so Starbucks has tied up with Microsoft Azure, blockchain as a service. And what they've done is they've done something called a bean to cup initiative. So for example, you go to Starbucks, you order, a cup of their very, very premium, maybe Ecuadorian coffee, right? You're going to pay, if a normal coffee costs maybe $2 to $3, this is probably going to cost you $10, right? Can't say. It depends on how premium it is. So the first question that comes for a customer is, how premium is my coffee? Am I really getting a premium cup of coffee? So when he gets the coffee, he also gets a QR code. There's a specialized cup built just for this coffee. And what he can do is he can actually scan the QR code on the cup, and he will see the entire journey that the beans have done, right from where they were grown and produced, then where they were roasted, and then how they actually reached in global trade, in whatever, right? Shipping and this thing, to the distribution center, and then finally to the Starbucks where he's consuming it. So now when he sees this entire journey, he will even see the photos of the farmers who have grown this, right? So this gives him a trust that, yeah, looks like Starbucks is taking a lot of effort to ensure that I get a premium coffee in my cup, right? And that sort of gives them a trust that, yeah, I might be paying $10, but it's worth it because I can really know that this has come from Ecuador or Peru or whatever. So in healthcare, right, there are so many problems to be solved in the world, whether it be fake drugs, In India, for example, around 40% of drugs that are sold at the chemist shop are usually fake drugs, right? Now they themselves don't know about this many times, right? Most of the times they themselves don't know. So many pharmaceutical companies are now implementing blockchain right from where the active pharmaceutical ingredient API is produced. The entire journey is now traced on the blockchain in tamper-proof smart containers, etc. And then the entire journey can be traced right from the API to the tablet making to the distribution center, finally to the chemist shop where you buy it from. So you as a customer again can scan this and know that yes, this is an authentic drug. It is not a fake drug because the QR code is very, very unique. It is linked to a record in the company's registers, a random number. So there's no way that a fake drug manufacturer could actually recreate this. So this gives you, first thing is it gives you trust that you have bought, let's say you bought a very costly medicine. You know that it's actually a genuine thing. And you also know that it's going to give the right effect for your loved ones. And this is very important because fake drugs can be all the way from just just a plain tablet, no ingredient at all in it, to something harmful. And you don't want to play around with your loved ones' lives when when they're in trouble. So this is where blockchains are really bringing in a lot of value. Medical records on the blockchain is another wonderful thing. Insurance. Today, if you go to a hospital, if any of you unfortunately have had to take anyone to the hospital for some surgery or whatever, you know, you admit them, the insurance papers take like 3 to 4 hours to clear, and then surgery again and recuperation. And then finally, when it's time to leave, they will tell you in the morning, yeah, you can leave today. And by the time the insurance papers get cleared and everything, some is paid out to the hospital, it's evening or even sometimes night. So enormous delays are happening, a lot of paperwork, a lot of verification. All this can be completely automated and made automatic. Within seconds or maybe minutes, your insurance claim can be filed, processed, and cleared. This is where enormous amount of programmable money automation is going to come in. Yeah, so entirely, your entire life records, your medical data on a blockchain means even if you're traveling in some other city, suddenly you fall ill or you have an accident, right? You go to the hospital, you just give your biometric assent or consent, and the doctor who's treating you will see your entire medical records, which means he can treat you exactly the way you should be treated. If you're allergic to penicillin or you have some some implant in your body which is a problem for an MRI, anything can be caught and detected and treated accordingly. Okay, some of the use cases. Now let us take a look at what is the blockchain adoption in the globe. Now, of course, it's very, very difficult for you to read all this stuff. I mean, it's a small world and a smaller map, right? So be assured that any country in the world, if they are not even adopting blockchain, be assured that in the next 5 to 10 years, they are going to remain in the dark ages. Because blockchains are going to bring in enormous synergy, enormous efficiency. And any company or any country that doesn't adopt blockchain is going to be left behind in the race. Now, here you might say, oh, is it really that disruptive? Is it such a do or die kind of situation? Yes. Because, I mean, all the data shows it. There are many domains where blockchains were adopted by some of the key players in the industry. And within 2 to 3 years, they completely beat all the competition. And to the point where the competitors actually started to realize that if they don't adopt blockchain, they are going to die out. The efficiency that comes in when a blockchain is adopted in a company or in a government is enormous. The way it delivers value is enormous. And competitors just can't keep this. So any country in the world is going to adopt blockchain. It is already adopted blockchains. I mean, China is one of the biggest adopters of blockchain. We are going to see enormous things happening in both China, US, and Europe, right? There's enormous activity going. So blockchain adoption map in India, right? 50 to 60% of the states in India are already looking at blockchain. What are the top 3 use cases? One is called land registry, right? Then there is insurance, farm insurance, especially for farmers, automated based upon the weather's forecast or whatever, automated insurance, so that the money automatically reaches the farmer the day that he has the disaster, the day that he needs the money, not after 2 months or 70 days or 125 days. No, instantly, the minute or the day that his crop is destroyed is the day that he gets paid the money, right? This can be a very, very powerful thing for farmers. Similarly, the third top case is digital certificates. Today, if you see, there's so much. I think a month or 2 months ago, I read that there is some person who charges 5 lakh rupees, and he will give you an educational certificate from some of the premier organizations in India, universities in India, completely fake, untellable from the original thing, right? And this person even had contacts within some universities and was making this happen. So now just imagine you work very hard to get an engineering degree, and then somebody who has absolutely no idea what he's doing gets a fake certificate and he gets a job which you could have, right? This is a very big problem. It's not a small problem. So digital certificates is one of the biggest use cases for blockchain because of its immutability and traceability. Each and every aspect of your education, each and every aspect of from your let's say kindergarten till today, each and everything can be recorded on blockchain, so that obviously kindergarten is going to be silly, but let's say from let's say senior secondary, SSC onwards, it really makes a lot of difference to have verifiable. Every employer wants verified employees, right? Again, the same thing when you're joining work experience. Many people have fake resumes, fake experience, and they get the jobs that others with proper credentials, etc. don't. It's very easy to fake impressive achievements, but to work hard and to deliver actual progress and actual deliverables is very difficult. So if a fake a guy with fake experience and fake work experience or whatever projects, if he gets chosen, this is a big problem for both the employees as well as employers, because finally they take him because they're impressed with his profile, and then he completely messes up the work, right? So very big use cases, digital certificates, for so many things, not just work or education. Almost each and everything that you buy or that you trade in requires a sort of a certification. Organic food, for that matter, right? When you buy organic food today, you pay probably 50% more for it, but you have to basically trust the guy who tells you, is this really organic? Yes, sir, it's very, very organic, 100% organic. Oh, is it? Okay. Now, how will you verify? How do you verify his claim? If there's an auditability and traceability right from the seed to the sensors in the field, which capture any chemical being applied, right, to any tests that are done on the crop, to anything, right from the distribution to your delivery, everything is traced through IoT, AI/ML, and blockchain, of course. Right? What happens is you get an enormous trust in this product. So many different companies. I mean, this is just a small list, right? Whether it be American Express in banking, American Express, Bank of America. In India, Bank of America is hiring people with blockchain expertise for their blockchain-based projects. I know this because some of my learners are now working in Bank of America in blockchain projects. ICICI Bank, Axis, everybody. Supply chain is probably one of the biggest use cases. Walmart, Alibaba, Maersk. Maersk is a shipping company. Enormous stuff happening in trading, global trade. Right? Healthcare, this. Automobile, Mercedes-Benz wants to put blockchains inside the car. Today's cars are very, very digital, IoT based, right? And they want to make sure that a hacker can't gain access to the internals of the car and maybe make it crash or maybe make it overheat or explode or whatever. So for this, a blockchain can bring in the trust among all the sensor networks. Right? US Department of Homeland Security is using blockchain to trace fugitives, right, or refugees. India story, Niti Aayog is very large on blockchain. They have held many blockchain conferences, hackathons. I don't know. Maybe some of you would have even participated in some of these, right? Whether it be Infosys, Tech Mahindra. Tech Mahindra is a pretty large team. We work with them. We have been working with them closely for the past few months on some of their initiatives, right? On the teams that they're trying to build. So Tech Mahindra has almost 3 centers. I think in Bombay, Pune, Hyderabad, and Chennai. Somewhere. I think these 3. Right. So you can just imagine there's a lot of jobs waiting. TCS, Infosys, Wipro, all of them are wanting to hire blockchain developers, but there are none. I mean, there are very, very few skilled blockchain developers available in the market. So, I mean, your company, not exactly your company, whichever company you will join in the next 3 years. Right? If you see this study by KPMG, right, 2019, so late 2019. So if you see, not likely or not at all likely was only 30%, and then the rest of them will take blockchain in the next 3 years, which is by the time you graduate. So what are the jobs that are available, right? One is blockchain app developers or decentralized application developers. Then protocol engineers. For example, Cardano is a blockchain protocol. Somebody has to build these protocols. Even for banks or enterprises, sometimes they want to build their own custom protocols. So there's a niche job market in blockchain protocol engineers. Network administrators is a big job market because any of the enterprise blockchains, let's say, which are implemented on top of Microsoft Azure or whatever, any of these big companies which are providing blockchain as a service, they need network administrators for blockchains. It's a specialized skill. And then, I mean, this is not so applicable for your crowd. For experienced people, it's definitely a very important skill. And for anyone who's into management or marketing or whatever, these are the key non-developer roles. Doesn't again apply to you. So what are the global opportunities in blockchain, right? If you see globally, IBM, Cisco, this is the actual list. The source is Cointelegraph. IBM, Cointelegraph is pretty well known for blockchain related news. So IBM has almost 430. Overall, if you see IBM, Cisco, and Accenture account for around 1,000 open vacancies. And these don't get filled up easily because you need a specific skill set. Very few people are available with the proper skill set. And this is the time for all of you to develop these skills, because by the time you come out, blockchain adoption is going to hit the roof, and there's going to be a huge, as it is, there's a demand for blockchain developers, a premium demand. But by the time you come out, industry is evolving so quickly that blockchains are going to become completely mainstream in the next 2 to 3 years, and huge demand. So definitely you should look at it as a very, very promising career, not just a job. Don't just think about the job. Think about how your career is going to. In a very early field, if you get in at the right time, you can actually, have a much more promising career than, for example, today, if someone tells you, learn Java, right? Java is not mainstream. It's actually, now there's a huge mass of developers with Java experience. Too many people, too much competition, right? Today, AI/ML is also somewhat in the same area. There's an expectation that you should have 2 to 3 years of experience, and coming out of college, you can't have this, right? So blockchain is still early times. It's a very, very disruptive technology, very, very stable, and definitely going forward, you're going to have a lot of jobs here. So I urge you all to look at this. India, if you see, typically a blockchain developer can attract on an average at least 10 to 20% more salary. So let's say maybe for AI/ML or whatever, if your average salary is for fresher is whatever, you might actually get 10 to 20% more than that. On an average, you might actually get more also, depending upon how skilled you are. So if you see here, there's a lot of a blockchain developer, if you see the salaries, this is the kind of advantage you can get here. Yeah, so 3 years of blockchain experience can mean a salary of around, say, 25 to 35 lakhs. Right? It depends. Of course, I won't say it's only blockchain experience. You also need to have maybe another 2 to 3 years of overall software experience. But 5 years today, 5 to 6 years today can get you a 25 to 35 lakhs, which is an amazing multiplier. Right? Governments are going to be the biggest adopters of blockchain, and all the jobs are actually driven by governments, right? When the US government mandate that, oh, let's have cloud being developed and mandated for enterprises, that's where cloud adoption happens. When government mandates blockchain adoption, and it will, I mean, obviously, any government will want blockchain adoption because it brings in trust, traceability, auditability, everything, right? And that's where the government gets taxes from. So when governments mandate adoption of blockchain, enterprises like Infosys, Accenture, whatever, Microsoft, they are the solution provider, and that's where the jobs come from. So in India, 60% of governments are already looking at blockchain in a big way. Telangana, Hyderabad, city in Telangana, they want to create the India's first blockchain district. So they already started this up. We are also in tie-up with the Telangana government to help make this a reality, a blockchain district, where blockchain startups will be given special tax breaks. They will work closely with the government to implement various solutions, etc. And every state in India almost is adopting blockchain. So what are the benefits for you if you think about getting into blockchain, right? Today, if you start, right, maybe you're in third year, second year, right? What will happen is you will get, by the time you graduate, not only will you have a very good sound knowledge of blockchain, but you will actually have multiple protocol knowledge. So whether it be foundations of blockchain, then Ethereum, then Hyperledger Fabric, Sawtooth, R3 Corda, there are some very, very dominant blockchain protocols in the world today, right? And if you learn them well, there's a huge market opportunity for you, a job opportunity for you, with very good premium salaries. So this is how blockchain is the fastest growing technology. Now top universities and IITs have made it as part of their curriculum, right? We are actually in coordination with some of the universities to give MTech specializations in blockchain, or undergrads, some electives in blockchain, whether it be PSG or whether it be SKCET or CIT, the Coimbatore Institute of Technology, as well as now with you, Chennai Institute of Technology. Okay? So what are the advantages here? First thing is the program is completely instructor-led, which means it's live, right? It's online. Of course, during Corona, you couldn't have in-person programs anyway. We have delivered almost to all the universities. We have delivered both in-person and online live trainings, right? Whether it be RV College or SKCET or any of these premier institutions, right? So the advantage is, once you take up our courses, we also offer an internship to some of the top performers of each batch. So if you are in the top percentile, right? If you're in the top percentile of the batch which joins for a course on blockchain, you will be selected. You'll of course have an interview and everything. We'll make sure that only the best are taken, and these people will actually work with us on live projects where they will be learning enormous amount of practical implementational knowledge in a industry based. Of course, we also issue a digital certificate for that. So not only this, but we are of course due to COVID today, we are finding it very difficult to have a hackathon. But maybe next year sometime we are also planning to have a hackathon where our learners who have learned let's say Ethereum development, etc., they can compete and gain recognition and overall a very good profile for themselves by attending a hackathon and winning it, right? So what do we have? The program is foundations of blockchain, right? And then public blockchain. In public blockchain, we have Ethereum. So Ethereum is the dominant public blockchain in the world. Around 90% of all applications written in the public domain are written on top of Ethereum. So this is the course that we're offering here, right? Meenakshi?
Yes, Bharat.
Yeah, so anyway, we'll discuss the details about the program. Maybe Meenakshi will fill you in on that. So
Yeah.
a global blockchain protocol development company, is best positioned to teach you about these blockchain technologies, right? And as you can see here on the right hand side, okay. On the right hand side, you can see here, right? This is the digital badge that is shared with you once you complete our program, right? So this is issued on the blockchain. It is available to you as a digital badge, which you can share on your LinkedIn profile, and any particular thing. And you can even, suppose when you graduate from college or whatever, you can actually share this with your prospecting employer, saying that, yeah, you can verify my link, and they can go and they can verify the digital badge and ensure that you actually have the skills. They'll get complete details of what is the program that you've gone through, what are the projects you have done, etc. Right? So this can bring in a lot of trust into the fact that yes, you have done the program, and this is the kind of performance you have had in this. So this is our student from SKCT, which have put here the badge. Okay? And yeah, so the internship program is definitely something to look forward to. We have already started taking interns for this year. For during the corona, of course, it's a remote internship. A lot of mentorship. Make sure that they really gain a lot of knowledge through their industry interactions, right? So this way, we are delivering value to the colleges in terms of upskilling all of you into a very, very promising career.
I think, Bharat, at this point of time, maybe we should take up a Q&A if I think we are fine. Bala, what do you say? Shall we go in for a Q&A for next maybe 10-15 minutes? Hello. Bharat?
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. So how do you want that? Is it that they would like to chat with us, or will they ask us? How is it?
I think there is a list of questions which will be collected and then shared, right? And then we can go through them one by one.
Ma'am, I'll
Please
read
go
out the
ahead.
questions.
I think maybe next 10-15 minutes we will do a Q&A, and then maybe we will give an insight about what do we actually do with the universities. Maybe we'll give an insight for the next 5 minutes, but now we'll do a Q&A.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for giving us more information about blockchain, and it's really useful. Now it's time for a questionnaire answer session. So I got a question from a student. First question is that, does the decentralized nature of the blockchain make it more secure?
Yes, that's a very good question. As you would have observed in the presentation, I talked about, let's say you compare Facebook as a central server to a decentralized Facebook, right? And today this has already started. Twitter, for example, is trying to bring in a decentralized social media platform, right? So that the people who are on the platform can be secure. Their information can be, very secure, hacker proof. Even in fact, it can preserve your privacy, even from, say, the kind of data mining that happens on today on Facebook, right? There are already a lot of excellent, decentralized social media networks, which you can, like, for example, Mastodon is one of them. Right? Yeah. So I hope that answers the question. Yes, definitely. Decentralization basically means that data is not in one place, it's spread all over the place. It's like a treasure, and you spread it all over the world, and then you can imagine the kind of effort that a thief would have to put in to steal this treasure if it's spread all over the world, right? So that's the kind of security that you get from decentralized things, as well as there is a cryptographic element. There is enormous cryptographic security that is, for whether it be encryption or hashing, tamper detection, all these things built into blockchain.
Thank you, sir. So I've got a question from Sadhana. How blockchain plays a role in AI?
This is again a very good question. As I said, if you heard me during the provenance kind of thing, I said that there is a solutions which are going to be required, which require IoT, AI, blockchain, and so many other technologies to work together. So when I say this, I mean that blockchain is not a competitive technology. It's not a competitive technology. It will not be either or. It has to be AI. It is not going to be a question of is it AI that I should look for or blockchain. Both of these together are going to create the solutions of the future. If you think about it, there is a new term called Industry 4.0. Right? The entire title of this is Industry 4.0, right? Unboxing blockchain. So Industry 4.0 basically means it's not one technology. It's not just me or somebody else. It's all of us together. And blockchain, if you see, is a technology like that. It's a all of us together kind of. It's a peer-to-peer integrative technology. And this is where the real, if you've heard of something called the network effect, right? The network effect basically means if we work as individuals, we are able to achieve something in our lives. But if we work together as a network, as a group of people, the network effect basically means things which you could not even imagine start happening. And blockchain is all about building the network effect.
Thank you, sir. So there's a question from Dinesh. What will be the possibilities to connect blockchain technology with other information technologies in the future?
Yes, again, something very similar, but definitely if you think about it, there are already a lot of IT services out there. For example, if you think in the last few years, there has been big data, there has been, cloud, right? These are the two revolutions of the last decade. Today, whether you are doing a webinar jam or a Zoom session, or you are doing a Google Meet with your friends, because obviously you're stuck at home, right? So you will typically end up hanging out with WhatsApp or WhatsApp video or Google Meet or whatever. If you are hanging out in a larger group, how is all this happening? This is all happening through cloud, and blockchain is definitely integrative with cloud. Big data. If you think about it, big data is about collecting exabytes or petabytes or you don't know what is the kind of bytes that is being collected, right? Now, how do you make sense of all this data? How do you know that this is trustworthy data? So blockchains are all about traceability. They're all about trustworthy data. And so big data is very, very synergistic. In fact, big data is a problem unless you have blockchain coming in and resolving this issue of trust and traceability. Right?
I think, Bharat, is it possible for you to give them a use case of blockchain plus an AI plus an IoT? Can you just give them a very short?
I mean, for example, let me talk about this, right? Intain, which is one of our sister concerns, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So Intain is actually funded by EMURGO Global, right? To create disruptive solutions in the financial domain. So Intain is actually creating blockchain-based, AI/ML-based financial solutions where, for example, let's say somebody comes and requests for a loan. And how do you ensure that this loan is processed very quickly, that his identity is verified, that the profile, the risk profile of this person is very accurately caught? This is a golden example of how trustworthy data, right, and a very good analytics model or machine learning model built upon trustworthy data can help you profile the right kind of people with a low risk and high returns kind of thing. Right?
So it's like a combination of an AI and machine learning.
AI, ML. If you look at supply chain, for example, how do you make sure that the tuna fish, for example, right? Tuna fish is really expensive. Right? One of the most expensive fish in the world is tuna fish. And the problem is there is a lot of problem of some other fish being sold as human meat. So a traceability program right from the ship on which the tuna is caught, packed into these smart containers which are IoT enabled, and then these reach the port, and then they're completely each and every leg of the journey, right down to the per place where you buy the meat, is traced through blockchain, and any threat or any risk profile in why did this container stop here, right? This can entirely be detected by AI or ML, right?
So it is like a combination of IoT, blockchain, and AI machine learning.
These are definitely, see, AI, ML, IoT are definitely very, very integrated technologies. They can't do very well without each other. See, IoT can produce data, but how do you make sense of the data? Gartner, report by Gartner says 20 billion IoT devices already, which will double by another 2025. 40 billion IoT devices by 2025. How do you make sense of the data they generate? Ensure that it's trustworthy, right? And if you have trustworthy data, you can build a wonderful AI model on top of it. Right? If it's not trustworthy, there's a lot of junk data, it won't work. So each of these technologies need each other. Any of you, if you've seen this Steven Spielberg movie called Ready Player One, right? It's a wonderful movie on AR and VR. And virtual reality, whether it be in mechanics, mechanical engineering, you're going to see virtual reality come in a big way where you actually can see flanges or whatever, right? But complex mechanisms working together, right? From diagnostics to repair to manufacturing, every aspect of AR, VR is going to be integrated with blockchain. Right?
So you mean to say that basically these are all interoperable, right? AI, IoT, blockchain, they all come together for effective solution building.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Shall we go on to the next question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So there's a question. What does the word cryptography actually means?
So, okay, very nice question. So cryptography actually comes from very curious mind. I immediately understand that this is a curious mind because cryptography is not something which anybody would normally ask. So a very, curious mind to know what is the origin of something. So cryptography actually means cryptos means hidden, right? Or it also means safe. So for example, your crypts where, you're in the Europe, right? You bury your family in these crypts and they're safe there. So hidden as well as safe. And a graphy, of course, means writing. So the general meaning of this cryptography means hidden writing, which is how do you ensure that the data that you want to share with somebody is not known to anybody else. It is only visible to the person whom you want to share this with. Right? For example, you would have seen this in WhatsApp, right? At the beginning of a message, right, you will see this. This communication or this chat is enabled with end-to-end encryption, right? So that's a thing that is makes sure that WhatsApp can't read your data, can't monitor your chat, right? So cryptography is everywhere, whether it be banking or blockchains or WhatsApp messages or Instagram. If you've seen that HTTPS at the end, right? HTTP is the normal protocol which you use, and HTTPS is used for secure communication. All of it is cryptography.
Yes, sir. So there's a question. Can commerce graduate work with blockchain?
It depends, right? See, for example, one thing is for sure, we have got a lot of people from the financial field who might learn blockchain. But it depends. I mean, if you want to become a blockchain developer, there's absolutely no limit. I mean, there's no limitation saying that, oh, if you're a commerce graduate, you can't join, you can't learn, and you can't join. My brother, right, is a BSc, BZC, botany, zoology, chemistry, pass out, right? And then he joined, software development, and he was in a very senior position at McAfee, right, and Symantec also, which are very leading software solution companies, antivirus and security solutions. Before he started out his own, his own startup. So I don't think. See, basically today we are moving towards a knowledge-driven, economy, which means it's not so much about where you are from, but what you come with. Right? Google and so many companies have clearly said, if you have got the skills, we don't bother whether you're even a graduate or not. And this is going to become more and more the norm. So definitely, I don't see any this thing. But yeah, if you don't know programming, you will have to spend a little bit of effort. It won't come for free. Oh, I just program and automatically I become a blockchain developer. You'll have to put an effort, maybe a little bit more. But
yeah, it's more about their attitude to pick up new things.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. Programming is nothing. It's not rocket science. It's just logic. If you think about humans are so much more complex than a computer. Right? You can't understand humans. You can understand computers. It's as simple as that. Right? So if you're good with humans, then you are definitely going to be. In fact, you might have to dumb it down. So you have to dumb it down for computers to be able to understand what you're saying. You can tell a baby, a 3-year-old baby knows a lot more about life and about doing things when you tell them something. A computer is not even like a 3-year-old baby. It's a dumb thing. You have to dumb down your knowledge, your intelligence to the level of a computer. And AI is trying to bring it up to some level.
I think, for the benefit of time, maybe shall we take another 2 or 3 questions and then we go into the details of the sessions?
Yes, ma'am. So I'll go with the 2 or 3 questions.
There's a very important question which Dinesh is asking. That is, how can I come up with a new consensus protocol for blockchain? Interesting question.
Very nice. Okay, good to hear that there are people who are already, good at
blockchain.
consensus protocol. So that's a very good question. I'm very happy to hear it. So it depends. I mean, see, consensus protocols, whether it be proof of work or proof of stake or proof of burn, proof of authority, any of the, or proof of elapsed time, right? At heart, they are very simple in logic, right? The logic is very simple. It's not that these are completely mathematical kind of solutions which have come up. There's very, very common solutions. How can I do this, right? And then you build in the rigor, right? How do you ensure that this doesn't happen? And you have to have it peer reviewed, right? You build an idea, you build a new consensus algorithm, let's say, as a research paper. You have to get it peer reviewed because these will be experts will say, okay, what happens if there's a civil attack? Or what happens in the case that a DDoS kind of thing happens? Or how do you make sure that something at the protocol level doesn't mess up? Let's say there's a crash or there's malicious actors in the fray. How do you make sure that your consensus algorithm is this? And this is where actually, if you look at Cardano is trying to build a mathematically verifiable consensus algorithm, proof of stake. So it is mathematically provable that given this set of constraints, the consensus algorithm is secure and it will always reach consensus. So yeah, it's a lot of work. It's not going to be easy, but it all starts with a common sense idea, and then you put in the rigor to make it into a proper consensus algorithm. But this again, this is a protocol engineer level question.
Interesting to hear this, right? Because I think it gives a feel that people are aware about a lot of things inside blockchain there, right? Yeah. Very happy to know this. Okay. So maybe last question and then I pick up the...
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'll give you the last question. So there have been many reports about Bitcoins being stolen. So is it possible to hack the blockchain?
Again, a very good question. Actually, a very common misunderstanding, right? There are 2 different places where things happen, right? The blockchain is where the transactions happen. Money is stored. And the theft which you're talking about, right? So many Bitcoin have been stolen or whatever, that is not at the protocol level. It's at a crypto exchange level, right? So let me give you an analogy. Let's say you go into a bank, right? And in the bank, there is enormous security. Even there's a security man with a gun outside. So many devices, cameras, sensors, some silent button, silent alarm, marked notes, kind of stuff is there as security measures inside a bank. Now, blockchain is like this bank. It's very, very secure. It has not been, in fact, there are cases where banks have been looted, but blockchain, at least the Bitcoin main protocol, I put a very clear classification that the Bitcoin mainnet blockchain protocol has never been hacked. But just imagine the analogy. You walk into this bank, you take out money, and then you walk out of the bank and you're walking along, getting to your car or your bike or whatever, and then somebody whacks you on the head and takes your money. Will you say that the bank is being looted, or will you say that you have been assaulted and looted? Right? That's the difference. So in the case of this, the analogy is that blockchain is like the bank, and the crypto exchanges are like the people who have kept the money in a very insecure way, and so they get looted. So there's no there's no comparison. Right? The blockchain protocol is the most secure thing in the world, which is why banks are looking at it. But then again, once you walk out of the bank, it's all bets are off. Right? You are responsible for your own security. Many of these crypto exchanges have learned the hard way Now they have started implementing something called offline storage or cold storage, and so many cyber security measures. Finally, crypto exchanges are becoming professional. These were all run by enthusiasts. Right? Oh, let's set up a crypto exchange, and it's all ad hoc. Today, it's not that.
Yeah, I think Bharat, that was a very nice way of comparing and telling them what happens on the blockchain and what can still happen outside the blockchain, right? Thank you, Bharat. Can we put a pause on the Q&A now, because I think we have a benefit of another 5-10 minutes. So can we? Maybe I think definitely we would love to take a lot of Q&As, but I think we have a hard stop at 11:30. So maybe 5 minutes we will give you a gist of what we are trying to do with the universities. Bharat, can I maybe brief them?
Oh, yeah. You would like to share something?
Yeah, basically, see what I wanted to inform them is that obviously there is a lot more of learning to be done. So we have proposed, we are trying to adopt a few universities in India where we want to give them the experience or exposure of knowing blockchain. So basically, Chennai Institute of Technology had also expressed their interest to be a part of this skill set. So what we intend to do in the university is that we are giving a special course for the engineers, undergraduates, because generally blockchain is an industry experts activity. But since the universities have shown very keen interest, we have maybe created a program specially meant for young engineers, right? So that they can also get a feeler of what happens in blockchain by putting their hands on and creating, building things. So it's a short course. We could say it's around a 65-hour of a program where we want to give the engineers an experience of building or working on a blockchain protocol. Enjoying an internship is our thought process. So since it's going to be young engineers, we have kept it more like an experience sharing. You'll be able to work or learn with our expert consultants. So intent is that the college will shortlist a set of students, and maybe we want to give the experience to a top few of them as per how the institution shortlist, because it is a very heavily subsidized program. Because we thought, since we are going to give this with the university, we wish to ensure that you're able to get a feeler of what is blockchain through this course. And interestingly, the internship will be a great exposure to you all. So the course is going to be an Ethereum Blockchain Essentials program. The program would be around 65 hours is what we have planned for, kept on a very subsidized format. And it will be for select students. We don't want to really open it out for everybody. For very strong enthusiasts of blockchain, we would like to spend our consulting time with those students. So, and from the students who complete the entire certification of the Ethereum, maybe 10 to 20 percentile of the top performers will do an internship with our consulting team. So that is the intent, right? So definitely we will come back to the university to understand who are those lucky guys to go ahead with the blockchain learning inside the college. So obviously, the rest of the format will be given to you from the university. So I think from our end, hope to see that some of the best of the university learners are able to join hands with us and get the learning of blockchain as our lookout, right? Any questions or queries in terms of the program, please do feel free to ask. We can maybe spend another 2-3 minutes in answering any questions on that. Definitely the university or the college will come back to you with the details of it. But then if you have anything directly to us, we can pick up the questions and then we can bring it to a closure.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. So now we have come to end of the session. I'm really grateful for Bharat sir and Ms. Meenakshi ma'am who has been connected with us. And I hope it is very useful and informative session for all of you who've been connected with us. Thank you all.
Thanks everyone for attending this webinar, and hope it was interesting as well as informative. Right?
Yeah, definitely. I would like to also extend my thanks to the management of the college, who's really given us that 1.5 hour today is a huge time slot for the universities to give it. Thank you very much, and have a fantastic day to all the people who have joined us. Thank you very much for being a part of the course, part of the event. Definitely looking forward to some of you into the course of ours. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Thanks, Bala, for hosting the event for us. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.